Hello and welcome everybody to a new TCG PackPoppin video. Today we have something different. Instead of our typical Mythic Tuesdays gameplay video, we will be doing a tier list of all the legendary creatures in Bloomburrow and Bloomburrow Commander. But I couldn't tackle this task alone, so I have the one and only claim to be a good Magic player, but not really, Kellcenario. Do you want to say hello?
Hi everyone. I'm
Um,
Kellcenario.
yeah, just arrived from a big legacy tournament where he did quite well. Not too well, but quite well. Not too bad.
Medium well.
And what we will be doing here, so you guys can see on screen, we have a tier list. We rank this in glorious, entertaining, great in the 99, boring but fine, and a serious question about your mental health. And we will rank these legendary creatures not on their power level based. So if you're looking for a CDH or a tier list, this is not the place to be. This is what we consider to be fun cards to play and that we would play in our Commander paper decks. So without much ado, we can start with the first one. So Alania. So Alania Divergent Storm is a Otter Wizard, costs 5 mana for a 3/5 Izzet Commander. When you cast a spell, if it's the first instant spell, the first sorcery spell, or the first otter spell other than Alania you've cast this turn, you may have target opponent draw a card. If you do, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So basically, you can copy every first card that you play, every first spell, and you can draw some cards. So it's a typical spell slinger commander for Izzet.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, anything otter is going to be extremely popular. But this one in particular, I mean, it's already a popular archetype, even if it's a bit boring, but it pairs very nicely with both other commanders and legendary creatures, as well as like that ace otter from the main set. And it's going to be extremely popular and extremely fun for the people that just like casting lots of spells, making huge boards, attacking with lots of tokens and elementals. So it's definitely up there in terms of fun. It's going to be at your tables, guaranteed. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's cute. It's otters. It's going to show up.
yeah. So given that it's a very good card in Storm style strategy, which seems to be the strong suit of the otters in general. But I would say, given that it costs 5 mana, it's actually not a good commander. It's better in the 99. Because if it dies once, then it's 7 mana, and as a Spellslinger deck, you don't really want to spend so much mana on your commander, I think. So I would rate it as great in the 99. But what do you think?
It's a fair point. I mean, it's probably better in the 99, but I still think people are just gonna force it as the face of their deck because it's cute.
Okay,
But
so
honestly, probably better at the 99 than itself. To be
okay,
honest.
so let's drop it in great in the 99 with the potential of being cute enough to be a commander.
Cute enough to be a commander is the best rating you're gonna get.
Exactly. So after that short technical break, also a brief reminder to not forget to subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a like. I think for Kellcenario to come back, we have to have a lot of likes on this video. So
Yes.
please give some love back for his participation. So second commander is actually from the Commander Precons, and we have Arthur Marigold Knight. He is a 5 mana Jeskai Mouse Knight, a 4/5 with haste. And he says whenever him and at least one other creature attack, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Return that creature to its owner's hand at the end of combat. So I think this card is way overcosted for what it does, to be honest. Yeah, it's kind of worse Winota, or if you want to splash blue in Winota. And you have the downfall of even bouncing the card back to your hand, so you don't really keep it.
I think the selling point is worse. Worse, Winota is a good selling point.
Yeah,
So imagine you wanna do like a Winota style deck, but you're tired of people crying about it. Now you have Arthur. As well as before, if you wanted to do a knight deck, you'd always go Esper. Esper Knight is just you have the lieutenant one, like the one in the commander, I forget the name. So now you can both do a mouse deck as well as a mouse knight Jeskai deck. But not, you can play the red knight. You have some fun stuff in there. And being a worse Winota, yes, it's just worse power level per se. But sometimes you have just a more casual table and you can explore some weird ETB creatures, as well as opening up flicker shenanigans. With blue, you can now just ETBs instead of, putting it back to your hand. You can just flicker it with some blue shenanigans and have fun. So me personally, I'm quite high on Arthur. Again, mouses are cute. They're gonna be fun. You can also finally do some different night stuff in red. A lot of an export space. And yes, it's worse than Winota. No ifs, no buts. But it's a mouse.
So yeah, I see that argument. Also, if anybody ever dreamed of playing like Winota with steal your creature type of creatures, so the blue folks, I think they would find this entertaining. So I think this is a solid, entertaining commander.
Yeah.
Next
Also,
up, yeah, go ahead.
imagine just for a second, you get a copy effect into the deck. You copy an opponent's creature, and then you bounce it back. And you can play the copy again. Arthur, my man.
Solid
Mouse.
entertaining, yeah. Solid mouse night going on over here. Next up, we have Balin the Haymaker. So it's a Naya 4/3 Rabbit Warrior. You can tap 2 untapped tokens to add 1 mana of any color. Note, it doesn't have to be creature tokens, so it can be any token. So treasures, food, all is good. Tap 3 untapped tokens you control, draw a card. Tap 4 untapped tokens you control, put 3+1/+1 counters on Balin the Haymaker. It gains trample until end of the turn. So I think this is an absurdly strong tokens commander, without a doubt. It's in the colors for tokens, so green, white, I would say, are the primary colors for tokens. And I personally really like. I have token decks and paper, so I really like playing tokens. And for me, this is a clear, glorious commander for it.
Yeah. Balin, I mean, again, it's a rabbit, cute, it's gonna be popular, so big points for that. And the test just goes straight into both as a commander, into the command deck, just the deck plays itself. Yes, it can be a bit too good and a bit too boring, but you can look back at like the Duke Penna Naya commanders, and those really were into tokens. You can do like a lot of shenanigans. You can untap your board, so just tap everything, then untap everything, and then just keep going at it. It's beyond bonkers, and it's gonna be a bad bunny. Yeah, glorious bunny.
Yeah, I think this will be a super popular commander, good moving forward. You have also the enchantment that pumps and gives vigilance, so you can attack and then start drawing cards afterwards. It's just crazy this card.
The card adds mana, gives you cards, and then is a payoff in of itself. So it's just army in a can. It's a bunny in a can.
Yeah. Moving forward. So I think we agree. Glorious, super strong card, super fun
beyond
card.
glorious, yeah.
Next up, we have Bello, Bard of the Brambles. So he is a 3-mana Gruul 3/3 Raccoon Bard. During your turn, each non-equipment artifact and non-aura enchantment you control with mana value 4 or greater is a 4/4 elemental creature in addition to its other types, and has indestructible, haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So Bello basically wants you to play big artifacts, big enchantments. It's a 3/3 itself. It's somewhat new in these colors, like turning artifacts into creatures is more of a blue thing, with Tezzeret and with Insult Artifact type of effects. So I think it's not a very interesting commander to play with, but it certain opens new colors to already tested archetype. So I wouldn't play this. I think it's a bit boring.
I'm gonna disagree very seriously. So first of all, Raccoon Commander, you can make a trash team deck. That's just flavor points all around. Okay? No questions. Second, each non-aura and non-equipment. So now you're playing completely different kind of deck. You're not going for auras, nor equipment. You can just ramp out absurd amounts of, big mana rocks, big dirty, anything. And then all of it's gonna attack. Just give trample to your artifact or what have you. Doesn't have they don't have trample. Then just make them have trample and make your opponents eat trash and smash. You know, the raccoon. I mean, I will take no slander on Mellow My Boy.
Okay. I see the argument,
No,
the
no, no.
flavor argument on the trash deck. The
I
10
mean,
mana.
you can.
So the only way this deck is good if you play the what's it called, Aladdin's Ring, the 8 mana. You pay 8 mana to deal 4 damage, whatever it is. You know this really janky old artifact that you have to. It's like super expensive to cast, and then you can play this card as your commander.
I mean, there's you can play. You can make it bad on purpose and say it's on theme. So that
Exactly.
aside,
Yeah.
oh, your deck is trash. It's supposed to be trash. At
Exactly.
least entertaining. Bellow My Boy. I will take no slander.
But would you put it above Arthur? I would not put it above Arthur. I think
No,
Arthur
no,
is
no, no.
better.
Not
Oh,
above Arthur. No, it's sorry, Bello, but
no. All right. Next one up is Bethda the Bounding Spring. So it's a 4 mana white 4/5 elemental elk. When it enters the battlefield, you'll create a treasure token if an opponent controls more lands than you. You gain 4 life if an opponent has more life than you. You create 2/1/1 blue fish creature tokens if an opponent has more creatures than you. And you draw a card if an opponent has more creatures in hand than you. I mean, Beza is hands down probably one of the best cards for 1v1 formats in the set. If you're behind, I think it's very strong because it just recovers whatever asset you're behind. But as a commander itself, I think is extremely boring.
as a
Um,
commander, even in the 99, I mean, this is the whitest of white cards to ever white. You know, it. Yeah, you get some value. Maybe there's one opponent that's behind. It's just so boring. I mean,
the,
not
the,
in as the name of a commander. No, I mean, as a commander itself. In the main deck, I mean, sure, it's playable, but it's boring. You know,
I would say boring, but fine. I
it's not. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just
yeah.
quite. You know, it reminds me of Death and Taxes, and that aside, I mean, just that it's enough to be boring. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think also the fact, I mean, you're limited by the whatever status your opponents are at, so you can't get ahead in any of the stats, right? So even if you blink it, you catch up, right? Which is the
Yeah,
most whitest, like the most white ability ever.
it's a
But
bit
yeah,
boring. Not
so,
bad, just boring. Sorry.
exactly. So moving on, we have Bria, Riptide Rogue. A 4 mana Izzet Otter, also Rogue, so Otter Rogue. He's a 3/3 with Prowess. Other creatures you control have Prowess. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. So we said otters are cute. This we already established. But this one is 1 mana less than the other one that we saw, Alania.
Mhm.
And if you want to go aggro with a semi-storm or just spell slinger type of deck, I think this is bonkers, giving all of your creatures prowess, and they become all unblockable with 2 or 3 spells. You're going to get in for massive amounts of damage. That being
Yeah, I mean,
said, that being said, I think the moment this hits the battlefield, you're our target. This thing will get killed immediately, and probably you will be knocked down with it.
yeah,
So
because just being on the board, all your tokens are now big beefy boys, and you're gonna get a target. But it's an otter, so cute. It's got a cute factor. And if you're gonna play it as a commander, you know, you can just jam it in any other like token producing deck. No worries. But it's gonna shine as a commander, I think. Just gonna because you're saying very like on the first turn, I'm gonna make tokens, and then we're gonna get big, and you can block them. It's entertaining seems fine
uh,
as the face of a commander deck seems great.
uh, so again, do
Uh,
we? So I think it's above Bello. I think it's more interesting than Bello. But do you think
I
it's better than Arthur?
it's still for me it's still not better than Arthur. I think it's more boring than Bello because I don't really care much for easy tokens, but
So I
what?
would I would even consider putting it great in the 99, so we can leave it at the bottom of entertaining, just
Yeah,
because it's very scary in the command zone. So you will be targeted from the beginning of the game, and it's in the colors of the Kiki combo, which is also token based combo, right? So people will immediately just target you if you play
oh no,
this.
just mean,
So yeah.
just mean.
Uh,
Oh, infinite. No, 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 that's a test.
So moving on, we have Burke, I guess. Long Ear of the Law. He's a 6 mana 4/4 Selesnya Rabbit Soldier. He has Vigilance, and when he enters the battlefield, put a 1/1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Whenever creature you control with +1/+1 counters on the attacks, double the number of counters on it. So it's basically a doubly season for counters on a stick. 6 mana, hefty cost, but it is in Selesnya, so I mean, ramping out is their thing. But I think there's better counter commanders. To be honest, I think
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it doesn't have to attack, which is good. So you can just play it, have the TTB effect, then the creatures attack, and you already immediately get the value. So it's there, but to me, it just screams boring.
if it doubled other counters, like if you could double increase planeswalker loyalty or something, then you could also explore other avenues. But for me, I think this is just boring but fine.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like as a commander, it doesn't get the bunny buff. You know, it's a boring
Yeah,
bunny, so not even that. Uh, it's boring, but it's
yeah.
very playable. You can just jam it in whichever counters deck you have. It's boring.
Well,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. Yeah. Moving on. So I think our first squirrel of the list, we have Camellia, the Seed Miser. So a 3 mana Golgari 3/3 squirrel warlock. It has menace. Other squirrels you control have menace. Whenever you sacrifice one or more food tokens, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. You can pay 2 and forage and put a +1/+1 counter on each other squirrel you control. I think this is a strong contender to remove Chatterfang as the best squirrel commander. So it gives your creatures menace, so you will have a lot of 1/1 tokens when you play squirrels. It creates tokens on itself, and you can pump all of your squirrels. Like that ability of putting the counters is on every squirrel you control. So
It's interesting. As you said, Chatterfang was the squirrel commander. I'm not too fond of squirrels myself. Don't really care for the archetype. For me, it doesn't have the cute factor. Sorry, but it's solid. And again, you can just pump your team. You can give them evasion. It's solid, good all around. And if you're gonna play, I mean, you can either play it as a commander or in the command deck. It's insta entering any squirrel deck. I will
yeah,
accept Glorious. It just for me, it's boring, but
uh,
honestly, it's gonna enter any commander deck, either in the command zone or the 99. It's
yeah.
just great. It's evasion. It's pump. It's everything.
I mean,
So
you don't even need to change the colors because Chatterfang is already
yep.
Golgari. So this just straight up goes into any squirrel deck that already exists. As you
Mhm.
said, commander or not. And yeah, and it will just make the deck better. So yeah,
Yep.
clear and glorious card design there. Now,
Yep.
here comes one of my. I'm biased, so I think Kellcenario here is biased towards the otters and towards the raccoons. I'm biased towards the frogs. I think the frogs are funny. And we have our first frog here. So we have Clement, the Worrywart. Is a 3 mana Simic 3/3 frog druid. Has vigilance, and whenever him or another creature you control enters the battlefield, return up to one target creature you control with lesser mana value to its owner's hand. Frogs you control become mana dorks, producing green or blue mana, but you can only spend that mana to cast creature spells. So Clement is, I think, a new. I mean, frogs are not really an archetype. You have the Simic one that exiles cards. I think that was kind of the only one. And this set has a lot of new frogs. I don't know if Clement is the best one to lead that archetype from the set. I don't think it's the best one, to be honest. But it is an interesting concept of a bounce commander. I would say it's
I like.
entertaining. Yeah, maybe
I mean,
great in the
for me,
99 more, but yeah.
I I honestly I don't know because you don't really have a frog commander, and this one immediately gives the buff to all other frogs. So that alone makes it interesting as a commander itself. And for me, even if I'm not the biggest frog magic player, except for one, and we'll get there when we get there, uh, I still think like the self bounce is unexplored and interesting way to build a commander, like self bouncing for value, which is cool. I mean, you can just like keep playing creatures and VTBs. If you have enough mana, I mean, imagine you give haste to one of your creatures. It's one mana. You just keep playing itself,
No, but
then
wait,
that will
you have to bounce something that costs less than the creature you bounced, or the creature you casted. Sorry.
it's like sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So yes,
You,
if you could do infinite bounces, I agree with you. But I would say I still think it's good in the 99 because
yeah,
it makes all your stuff mana dorks, all your frogs. So I think there it's quite good. So I would say great in the 99, worse than Alanya for sure. Um, but I think it's more
yeah.
interesting than Beza and Burke.
And then I mean, I'm honestly don't quite remember which other frog commanders you have. Maybe this could be like the flag post command frog commander because it gives frogs
Yeah.
uh,
So before the set, there's
abilities.
this there's a black one that's like a dude riding a frog. I don't remember the name. And then there's the cynic one that actually combos with the petitioners, with the ones you can have any number of copies in the deck.
Hmm.
The Simic one, but they're not heavily played. Neither ones are heavily played, to be honest. But I think in this set there are better frog commanders than this guy. But I think he's solid in the
Fair enough.
99 for a frog deck.
Yeah, you have Grolnrock, which mills
Exactly.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
And even Grolnok is probably more. Let's move on to the infamous Cruel Claw. Um, 3 mana Rakdos Weasel Mercenary, 3/3 with Menace. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non land card. You may cast a card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. Now, I opened a copy of this today, so I'm already very happy with my box opening. But yeah, I think this card is just completely bonkers. I think you run the risk that people see this in your command zone and you get targeted immediately. But it is in the colors to make a madness deck. So you can flip the top card of your library, you discard a madness card to cast the flip card for free, and you cast the madness card for cheap.
That's interesting for sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
was just going for like the big, flashy, like expensive cards. But I mean, Growclaw is
Yeah.
one of like the most interesting and fun and popular commander from the deck. I mean, it just screams big plays.
Yeah. You could technically cast Emrakul from Eldritch Moon by discarding new Emrakul and paying its mana cost, and you get double Emrakul for like 6 mana.
Cruel Claw is gonna make big flashy plays. They're gonna have stories to tell because of like this weasel is. I mean, he has menace because he is a menace.
Yeah,
He's a, you're not ready for Cruel Claw. Cruel Claw for
exactly.
me. I mean, even above like the Bunny Boy, Cruel Claw just screams big plays, funny stories, and hectic, chaotic commander turn.
Oh,
But you're gonna have a big target. Just rest assured, people know chaos is coming. Cruel
yeah.
Claw does not mess around.
I think the only thing missing is a easy way to manipulate the top of the deck. So if it was Grixis, maybe it would be a bit easier, but it's still going to be extremely funny.
Yeah,
Um,
you can put like the black commander card, like the black tutors, which put on top of the
yeah,
deck, so like
like
Imperial Seal and
Insatiable
whatnot, and
Avarice or yeah,
yeah,
or Infernal Tutor or Vampiric Tutor. I never remember,
one of
but
those.
one of them. Yeah.
Skimming Symmetry even.
Ah,
So
yes.
there's, I mean, the deck kind of builds itself, but you can choose your weird payoff cards whichever way you want. Cruel Claw, yeah,
Yeah,
the man.
I think it's amazing. So next up we have Dragonhawk Fate's Tempest. So a 5 mana 5/5 bird dragon. I don't know how you have a bird that's a dragon, but sure.
It's
Uh,
called the chicken.
exactly. So it's basically a chicken. This is what we established. It has flying, and whenever it enters or attacks, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 4 or greater. You may play those cards until your next end step. At the beginning of your next end step, Dragonhawk deals 2 damage to each opponent for each of those cards that are still exiled. To be honest, I think this goes into a Dragon's deck at the 99, and that's it. It's basically card draw, like it's impulse draw, whatever you want to call it. But as a commander, not really
I
interesting.
think if you want to build as a commander, it's for like the combo finish potential, like making a lot of like big tokens and then just playing ETB and step. You're all dead. You're gonna die because of the like 2 damage trigger. It's solid. It's playable. It's good. Any red deck, like Purpurous deck, can play this. But as a commander, mostly I'd say just for the like combo potential.
Yeah.
So yeah, solidly good in the 99.
Yeah.
Good chicken.
Yeah, and I think it's less interesting than the other two just because, and its effect is not exactly novel. So yeah,
It's just a generic good, you know.
yeah, it's just generically
It,
good
it's
card.
it's good. It's just very good, which is enough sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, up next we have maybe one of the more controversial cards of the whole set, and definitely either will be broken or do nothing because it always gets killed. But we have Eluge, the Shoreless Sea. So 4 mana blue elemental fish. Its power and toughness is equal to the number of islands you control. Whenever it enters or attacks, you put a flood counter on target land. It's an island in addition to its other types for as long as it has a flood counter on it. The first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn costs blue or 1 less to cast for each land you control with the flood counter on it. Now this does double duty. So you can make all your lands islands, right? And that's fine. You can make your opponent's lands islands, and if you're playing Merfolk, for example, all of them have Island Walk. Also interesting. And then obviously you can kind of storm off with this thing after a couple of attacks for free.
And you can set it up like you can do with ace. You can do like some weird multiple combat step situation. You can just like double or put counters on like your other land. There's a lot of like room to work with. But whichever way you build it, like the payoff is gonna be big and oppressive. So it screams powerful. Some people are gonna get angry because it's just like mono blue oppressive deck. Like I'm just can't play everything or counter everything. But the power level is there though. Like
I
for the
think
people
people
that like to
will,
be.
yeah, I think if you play this as your commander, people will assume that you will start having free mana leaks, free mana drains, free force of
Mhm.
negation, and they
Yeah.
will target you early. This is what I would do at least if I saw this in the
Oh
command
yeah.
zone.
Go big or I mean, you're gonna play
Yeah,
to go big and go
exactly.
and like play big flashy spells for free, make everyone's life miserable.
No. So
But it's powerful.
if you're a stacks player, I think this is extremely entertaining.
Mhm.
As your commander, to be honest, I don't know if you should play this if you want to have fun. I would consider even putting
Fun
this here, to be honest.
fun is a zero sum game. Either I'm having fun. If I'm having fun,
No.
no one else is gonna have fun. Are you okay? Perfect.
Yeah.
Valuation, whichever way you put it.
Yeah, I think so. Don't get us wrong. Again, this is not a power level scaling. This is how
No.
entertaining or fun the games would be in our mind. Yes, Cruel Claw and Balin are also very strong, but they can
Mhm.
also, or for example, Cruel Claw can fizzle, so you can hit like a ramp spell or something, and then it does nothing. But the Illuge will always guarantee that your spells are cheaper if you build it as a commander. And
Mhm.
mono blue is notoriously oppressive. That's why we put it in. Are
Yeah,
you okay?
it's gonna be very strong,
Yeah,
whichever way you build it. So
exactly. So next up we have Phineas, Ace Archer, Selesnya 2 mana 2/2. It's a rabbit archer, very cute. I opened the showcase version of this today.
ooh, nice.
Has vigilance and reach. Whenever he attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control that's a token or a rabbit. Then, if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater, draw a card. So we talked about how token commanders before are, or +1/+1 counter commanders are quite known when we talked about Berk. I think this is way more entertaining. So it comes down early. You can put counters on all of your creatures, especially if you play tokens or rabbits, right? And then it just draws you cards. So it's something that can come down early. starts doing stuff, and yeah, I think it's fun.
It's a very obvious contender for like bunny commander because bunnies already care about tokens, so it's just very strong. You like as a commander in the token deck, but especially probably as a like a rabbit commander. So
Yeah,
it's way up there.
yeah. So where would you rank it here in the entertaining scale?
I mean, above Arthur probably
Even above
because
Arthur?
it's even above Arthur.
Yeah, I can
I
see
mean, it's
that.
just
Yeah.
people like going wide, people like making big tokens, and Phineas needs some protection. Phineas doesn't have ace, he can be champ blocked, can be very easily killed, but
On the
that
other hand,
is
he's two mana,
everywhere.
so if he dies, you can just
Yeah,
recast him. So
if if he dies, he dies. Comes back,
exactly.
the zombie bunny.
Okay, so now we have something that I think you alluded to before, that there was only one frog that you were interested in. I hope it's this one. So we have Floods
The
the
one and only.
Fool, our boy, Timor, Frog Scout. You may play an additional land on each one of your turns. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. If you have no cards in your hand, otherwise discard a card. So, I mean, first of all, look at this art. He's holding what I think is a dandelion or a cotton flower. I'm not entirely sure. He's just chilling with his little grasshopper friend, and he's going on his adventure. This just, I think we don't even need to talk about what type of deck. I think this is
Well,
just
I mean,
glorious.
it's the one and only Flubs. Flubs is your boy. It's a reference like to an Arcana tarot card, the Fool itself. Like it's a great art reference, and the art is amazing. Props to the artist. But Flubs is my favorite card, like my favorite commander of the set. It just opens up so many possibilities. You can play it as a flashback commander. You can play it as a madness commander. You can do like some very weird, finicky storm shenanigans. Me personally, I would play it as a Timor land commander. I mean, with life from the loam, it's just a lot of fun. It's the one and only. It's Fluffs the boy, and you're a fool. You're the fool if you don't play Fluffs.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
he's out to get you.
I fully intend to build a Flubs deck. The true question is, will you manage to fit him into your legacy deck? This would be the full honors for Flubs if you can manage to fit him to legacy lands.
I mean,
Uh,
Timor land with clubs. I mean, you're gonna flub a lot of wins. That's what I can say.
all
But
right. Oh.
you're gonna be memorable.
So next up we have Gev, Scaled Scorch. He is a Rakdos 2 mana lizard mercenary, 3/2 with ward, pay 2 life. Other creatures you control enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each opponent who's lost life this turn. Whenever you cast a lizard spell, Gev Scaled Scorch deals 1 damage to target opponent. I mean, it's a ping commander, right? I think it's a bit sad that it doesn't grow itself. It comes down as a 3/2, which is very small. Yes, it's 2 mana, but still. I think it's fine, but a bit boring, to be honest.
I mean, that's mostly because like lizard. I mean, it's buffed like it's a lizard commander, obviously. But
Exactly.
lizards they don't have the cute factor in terms of popularity, which is an issue, and they're just not that interesting. They care about opponents losing life, and they don't have that many great lizards. Obviously, you're gonna play it as a lizard commander, but that's pretty much it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's 2 mana, it's good, you can play it again, but it's just boring.
Oh.
It's
I would,
fine, boring.
yeah, but I would put him at the top of boring just because he is a lizard commander and does
Oh yeah,
something that
definitely.
the other two don't really do.
No.
Oh. So next up we have, I think, the swaggiest of my boys. So we have Glarb, Calamity's Augur. So he is a I'm forgetting what is black, green, and blue. Sultai, exactly. Sultai Frog Wizard Noble, 2/4 Death Touch. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library, and you can tap 2 to surveil 2. Now, I think this card is broken actually. I mean, you can look at the top. So we have Courser of Crufix built in with I don't know. This is the color that also can play not balance. What's it called? The blue thing that played with top.
Counterbalance?
Counterbalance, exactly. So you could look at the top, you can surveil and adjust for counterbalance. I think this card will be kind of obnoxious to play against, to be honest.
Yeah, Glarb, I mean, he's on the throne. He's meant to be our commander. It writes itself.
Exactly.
And it can be similar in a deck like to a Tazigor deck, like a value, bug, commander deck. I mean, you can play lands, you
You
can
can
like
go Reanimator because it
it's
surveils.
a
You
lot.
can,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. There's a lot of value in that. One small boy has a lot of value. It's I don't know if it's glorious. Maybe it is because it's a frog, but it's a very strong commander. Even in like in any random bug deck, uh, like
yeah.
bug spell deck. So
Yeah.
it's a very strong commander, very strong card all around. I'm
So
quite
I
fond of it.
think he is one of the only creatures here that doesn't need to really fit to its tribe. I think this will be
Hmm.
a strong Sultai commander. If you go control, if you go reanimate, if you go land ramp, and obviously if you play frogs, but he doesn't even synergize with frogs necessarily. He actually synergizes more with big beatdown creatures. Um, I agree with you. I don't know if he's glorious, but he is for sure the most versatile, I think, commander of the set.
Yeah,
So just for
just
that,
a nice strategy, just value.
I would put him at the bottom of glorious, just because he's the most versatile one in the set.
It's
Um,
fair. It's fair to me.
no,
Glarb, you're a fair man.
no. Next up, we go back to the commander set, and we have Hazel, the Root Bloom. So 4 mana Golgari Squirrel Druid. He's a 3/5. You can pay 2 life, tap X and tap tokens you control to add X mana in any combination of colors. At the beginning, just a caveat, maybe there's new players. When cards say this type of stuff, you can't add colorless, so you can't play Eldrazi, for example, off of this, if they have the little colorless symbol. At the beginning of your end step, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. If that token is a squirrel instead, create 2 copies that are 2 tokens that are copies of it. So he generates a lot of mana and he creates token copies. If it's squirrels, he just creates even more.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it's
it's
functional,
it's not exciting at 4 mana to have a mana dork.
and you have to tap your tokens
No, and he has to
to
live
do
at.
stuff.
So you have to tap tokens to do stuff. It's a 4 mana dork. And the copy trigger is at the end of your end step, so you can just kill this thing. You don't even have to counter it, you can kill it before the end step trigger, and then nothing happens. So
Yeah, I mean, as a commander, not at all. In a squirrel deck, why not? But it's boring.
I would say boring, but fine.
Yeah,
I would say
a
even
bug
worse than
better.
Gev, to be honest. I think the lizard dude
Yeah,
was even more interesting.
yeah, definitely.
Well, moving on, we go back to the normal set. We have Helga, Skittish Seer. So we have a bent frog. I think the frogs are the ones also with the most. So they're always Simic, but then they have the most options for the
Yeah,
third color. So we have a bent frog druid, 1/3. Whenever you cast a creature with mana value 4 or greater, you draw a card, gain 1 life, and put a counter on Helga. You can add X mana of any one color, where X is Helga's power. Spend this mana only to cast creatures with mana value 4 or greater, or creatures with an X in their mana cost. If this card, if this last line said spells with X's, this would be way more interesting to me. But since it's just creatures, it's another generic Simic go big commander for me.
it's a banned value commander. I mean, you're gonna play it as
Oh,
a commander. Probably not in the deck itself. I mean, if it's there, it's for the command value, and it's boring. It's not bad, useful. You're gonna do like any average play, but like I think it's like Shulanus or something like the other like banned
yeah.
value deck. I think it's called like Shulanus the Storyteller or something.
Killane it, or Shulane, I think, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's
yeah,
similar. Yeah, Shulane Teller of Tales. It's just similar to that. It's like banned value, similar to like Timic value, but like more creature focused. Boring, but fine to me, honestly. Not
yeah.
bad. Far from it. Just,
Yeah, I still think it's even worse than the lizard, to be honest. The lizard
you
is
can't.
somewhat
Yeah.
unique because it's a lizard. There's not that many lizard
Hmm.
commanders. But yeah, but Helga. I mean, it's strong. It's a strong card. It's just not very interesting as a commander.
Yeah.
But yeah. Next up, I think he's the only badger or legendary badger of the set. Might be mistaken there, but we have Hugs, the Grizzly Guardian. So he is a X red red green green badger warrior 5/5 with trample. Whenever he enters, exile the top X cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. You may play an additional land on each one of your turns. So this again is generic big beatdown stick. Yes, you can play an extra land, but he costs already 4 mana, so ramping on turn 4 is not that interesting.
Yeah.
Has impulse draw, but only on ETB, and if you blink it, the X is 0 when it comes back in, so you don't reveal anything. So to be honest, I think this is quite a bad card. Yes, it's good in a generic rule deck if you have 10 mana and nothing to do.
Like putting mana into it doesn't make the card bigger. It's always going to be a 5/5.
But you do
You
see
just
more.
exile
You,
cards
you
and
do
draw
see
cards.
more, yeah. But you do see more if you put more mana into it. But I think this is just a generically boring big card.
Yeah,
Um,
not a good commander. Not a just that. Sure, you can play it, but it's eh.
yeah, I mean, if you really want a Badger commander, then for sure play this. But other than that, don't really do this.
And if you want a Badger commander instead, the rating should be: Are you okay?
Exactly. Next up on our list, we have Castral, the Windcrested. So it's a 5 mana Azorius Bird Scout for 5 flying. Whenever one or more birds you control deal combat damage to a player, choose one. You may put a bird creature from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Put a +1/+1 counter on each bird you control, or draw a card. So I will have to say, if you want to play a birds deck, this card is actually quite good, to be honest. I mean, birds are an archetype that people enjoy, and I
And we
think to
used
be
to play
honest,
with birds. You might remember we did. I play with Bird Commander.
exactly.
Uh,
It is 5 mana, but to be honest, as a bird commander, it is extremely solid. I would play this actually.
because it doesn't need to be like Castral that hits. You can just like play, attack with your birds, one bird connect, and then you can either pump your birds, draw, or just put a bird or replay your birds.
Yeah.
It's a very strong contender for a bird commander. It's just a bird deck
Yeah.
card.
Probably the first recursion bird, unless you consider
Yeah.
Karmic Guide a bird, but not really, right? But
Cosmic Guide.
I'd say I'd
Cosmic
say
Guide.
I'd say entertaining. I think it's
Yeah, yeah.
solid. Yeah.
It's very narrow, but
Oh,
birds players deserve some love. So Castral, entertaining card, good for bird deck.
well. Up on our list, probably one of the strongest for 60 card formats, at least for standard, maybe Pioneer, I guess. We have Kitsa Otterball Elite. It's a 2 mana blue otter wizard, 1/3 with vigilance. Also has prowess. You can tap it to draw a card and discard a card. You can tap it and pay 2 to copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if Kitsa's power is 3 or greater. I mean, so in 60 card formats, this is interesting also because you can just play this in an Izzet deck and pump it to oblivion with rituals. In blue and commander, I'm not sure it's that easy to do that.
As a commander, no, but I think you still play this like in almost every spell-based commander deck.
Yeah.
Like in any like is it the commander deck, you can just like play the otter, copy any instant or sorcery.
Yeah.
It's I mean with the prowess,
Yeah.
it's a very good card, just not as a commander. I think it's like
Yeah. So I think it's
yeah.
great in the 99. I think it's better than the other otter
For sure.
just because it's way cheaper. So it goes more in
And
line
it's
with
just so
what Spellslinger
versatile.
wants to do, just looting and so on. So I think it's solid. But
And you can play it like in any random blue deck with
yeah, this
spells.
will exactly this will be good. Also, if you want to do some weird like blue black or something reanimator style, it is a looter, repeatable looter. So it's also interesting in those type of decks.
So otter, you'd say?
The Lotter Otter. We had the Looter Scooter. Now we have to. Oh, and the Looter Otter can actually crew the Looter Scooter. It's one, right? To crew the. Okay, we have to do the Looter deck now.
Wizards hire us, please.
Yeah. Next up, we have Lumra, Bellow of the Woods. 6 mana, mono green elemental bear. Has vigilance and reach. Luminous power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards, then return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Scapeshift, but from or not, Splendid Reclamation. This is basically
Yeah.
Splendid Reclamation on a stick.
Hmm.
I think there's, yeah. I mean, as a commander, I don't think it's that interesting, to be honest.
Now, as a commander, no, neither as a bear commander or a land commander. You
Yeah,
can
but
fight it.
bears, I think,
It,
are often
yeah,
more stacksy than doing this type of stuff, to be honest.
and yeah, you can put it in a bear deck because it's a bear, so why not? And any green-based lands deck will also enjoy having Bella, but it's just okay.
No,
It's
I,
not it's not low powered. Don't get me wrong. It's a strong card, but like 6 mana to get other lands back doesn't seem
yeah, I
amazing.
think it's just a bit boring. It's solid, but there's other
Yep.
cards that do similar things. I would put it somewhere between here. It's a very value-y card, so like Beza. So it's
It's
either.
above Beta because Beta is white, and yeah, that's still.
Don't get him wrong.
But
He used to play mono white Death and Taxes, and he's still traumatized.
yeah, it's Stockholm syndrome.
Uh, okay, moving forward, we have Mabel, Hair to the Crack Flame. Probably one of the cutest cards in terms of the basic art,
Hmm.
at least.
For sure.
So it is a 3 mana Boros Mouse Soldier, 3/3. Other mice you control get +1/+1. When it enters the battlefield, create Cragflame, a legendary colorless equipment artifact token. With equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, and equipped 2. So it's basically King Arthur, and it creates his own Excalibur, but Excalibur is only a 1/1 buff. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's just a mouse lord.
yeah,
That's
I think it's a
with
very
all of
solid
the
mouse lord. Um,
yeah.
So I think it's great in the 99, but it is very narrow. You can't put this in a generic deck. So I would put
But you
him.
don't
Uh,
but you don't really have any other like mouse lords. Honestly, you don't really have any other mouse lords, so
ye-
you have to play it as your commander.
yeah,
So
but
that's the issue.
yeah, but I
Uh,
think like Kitsa and Clement, for example, you could play in other decks, not necessarily Frog or Otters.
yeah.
And Mabel, you have to play in a mouse deck. There's no point in playing this without being a mouse deck.
And most likely as a commander, because besides Arthur, which is also mouse like commander,
Oh yeah,
there's
that's
really
true.
not many other mouse commanders, and it's
Oh
a
yeah,
lord
because
on
the
a
other ones are rats, not
demand.
mouses. Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah. So if you're gonna play it, it's your commander.
Uh, so
But
that
that's
that
the
forces
only.
it to entertaining, I guess.
It's
Let's put
yeah.
it at the
It,
bottom of entertaining. It's
that's what
honorary.
you get, Mabel.
Uh,
That's what you get, Mabel. Sorry,
no.
sucks to be you.
Next up we have Maha. It's Feather's Knight. So a 5 mana black elemental bird, 6/5, flying, trample, ward, discard a card. Creatures your opponents control have base toughness 1. So this card combos strong with Knight of Souls Betrayal, with I don't know, Cry of the Carnarium, the one that gives -2/-2 to everything. Using I don't know, Dark Blast or whatever, the -1
There was
-1
also like
dredge card.
there's also like
Um,
a 4 mana legendary black creature which says all creatures get -1
Kevorek,
mana as
yeah.
well.
So Kevorek,
Yeah.
the
So
whatever, yeah,
the power level is there. It's like a big beater. You can play it as like the commander in the 99 in any mono black deck. It's almost going into every mono black deck. Let's be honest.
yeah. On that
And
note,
Mayaha, it's a great card.
yeah.
So you're welcome for this moment. Uh,
On that
it's
note,
very entertaining.
yeah, I think it suffers from the Eluge problem. The moment this comes down, people
Yeah,
will be scared of you and will be annoyed at you. um,
because they know what's coming. It's very
exactly.
obvious. If anything has base power and toughness
And
one,
this card is
it's gonna die.
extremely pushed. I mean, it even has ward for protection. Wizards knew what they were doing. This is also probably the best constructed card for standard in the set. Because if you cast this, I mean, all of your opponent's stuff are super small. Um, I would put this to Are You Okay? If you play this as your
It's
commander.
definitely an Are You Okay? Again, fun is a zero sum game, and Maha is here to have all the fun. Mahaha.
Oh,
So again, enjoy.
exactly. Moving on, so we have from the commander set, where is this dude? Mr. Foxglove. So he is a banned 5 mana Fox Rogue, 3/5 with lifelink. Whenever he attacks, draw cards equal to the number of cards in defending player's hand minus the number of cards in your hand. If you didn't draw cards this way, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. I think this is a ridiculous group hug commander, because you make your opponents draw cards, and then you can put big stuff onto the battlefield with it.
I mean, it's the most dapper card in the set. He has the style, he has the moves, he has the groove. Mr. Foxglove takes no names. So, all that aside, it's still very interesting. As a commander, in just like any bunt deck, it's like the 3/5 value, either draws cards or puts like Picky Emrakul in a Picky Eldrazi. Like, oops, flip, is a big Eldrazi. But I'm still looking dapper. Mr. Foxglove, for me, it's glorious for many reasons.
Yeah. So I think he does not beat Flubbs, but I think he deserves a solid silver medal there with the
Oh yeah, I mean,
with the
for
Glorious.
style points, Scroll Claw is probably way better, way more strong, but man, is Mr. Foxglove like just looking nasty, like, good.
Probably also one of the only Fox commanders in general. Not sure how many Fox commanders there exist, but probably only
You probably
one.
have you probably have like a lot of ones from like Kamigawa or something. So.
And you have the one that was banned, the companion one. Yeah, but
I think it's
the Boros one. But yeah, but Mr. Foxglove bringing all the style, all the substance, very solid card.
Also
Next,
punch, good card.
Next, so we go from the, let's say, the cheeky stallion type of guy trying to play out his moves at the bar to the homeowner, nice neighborhood, Mrs. Bumbleflower. I don't know if they're married in lore or why one is Mr. and the other is Mrs. But we have Mrs. Bumbleflower, the 4-mana band, 1/5 Rabid Citizen with Vigilance. Whenever you cast a spell, target opponent draws a card. We'll put a +1/+1 counter on target creature against flying until the end of the turn. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, you draw 2 cards. So whenever you cast a spell, somebody else draws a card. And if somebody else draws a second card, you draw 2 cards. So this is clearly a group hug commander. Like there's no other purpose for this, I think.
But it actually wins, so that's a big plus. It's a group commander that wins. You can just pump your creatures, or just make some offers, pump some other creatures. It's probably not going to dethrone the purple hippo because, man, it's a purple hippo. Feldergriff is a mean purple hippo, but it's a great card.
Yeah.
Either as a commander, you can.
I mean, it's clear the synergy between both of them, right? So they're supposed to be played together in the same deck, so that you can force out your big stuff. I would say it's entertaining. It's something different. I think group up commanders often are not very entertaining. The decks themselves are, but the commanders not really. So I would say,
has name value.
Yeah, I would say
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so not as nice as Arthur, I would say, but
yeah, just because it's group hug. So yeah, just probably do a lot. Yeah.
Oh. Next up, we have back to the base set. We have Muerta, Trash Technician, 3-mana Gruul Raccoon Warrior, 2/4. At the beginning of your first main phase, add either red or green for each raccoon you control. Whenever you expend 4, and expend means that you spend 4 mana in total casting spells during a turn, you gain 3 life. Whenever you expend 8, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. If you want to make the trash deck, this is what you play, in my opinion. It generates mana equal to the number of raccoons, it gains you life, and it does impulse draw, right? So this is like the weird rabbit raccoon you find in the trash can, and he's just doing everything.
I mean, to me, it screams like Kev, only that raccoons are more popular. You don't. I mean, there's some raccoons in this set. The mechanic is just like paying mana. It's to me, it's like a boring card that people are going to play because it's like again a raccoon commander, similar to Gav, better than Gav, but again to me it's like very much boring but fine.
Really?
Not above.
Okay. I thought I would play this on my commander actually.
I know you're going to play it as a commander because
Oh,
it's again a raccoon commander,
yeah.
but the raccoon like set mechanic is like
So
paying mana.
I wouldn't play a raccoon deck. From this
Yeah,
set I would play the frogs, but
hmm
if I
that's
would
correct.
play the raccoons, I would choose this guy as my commander. But I guess boring but fine is solid. I
Yeah,
mean,
because like
he
the
ramps,
thing
gets
is,
you life. Yeah.
Bello is not a raccoon commander.
Hmm.
Moira is the raccoon commander, but you don't have that many raccoons. Again, to me, very similar to Gav. It's like the tribe mechanic. It's okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's just
That's
okay.
fair, I think. Yeah. Okay, so next up we have uh, the Odd Acorn Gang. So it is a 5-mana Golgari Squirrel Warrior, 5/5, Menace, Trample, and Reach. Squirrels you control have tap to target squirrel gets +2/+2 and gains Trample until end of the turn. Activate only as sorcery. Whenever one or more squirrels you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. I think this is fine in the 99. As a commander, I think
Yeah,
it's bad. It's actively bad as a commander, I think.
you'd play it if you want to be different than the others. I think.
Exactly.
I
I
mean, being
think
a sorcery really hinders the card.
being a sorcery, it's if you squirrels want to go wide, but you still only draw one card, independent of the amount of squirrels that get in for damage.
Yeah.
I think it's fine in the 99, but a boring commander, or
Not as a
actually actively
commander.
bad commander. Yeah,
You'd play it in the again. It's a squirrel card. Fist a squirrel deck. Why not? You know,
yeah.
it's good. Just boring.
Well,
Which would that make it a boring but fine? Or it is not a boring but fine because it's a boring but good.
yeah,
That's the real
exactly.
question.
Okay, we're closing on the last six. This one is also one of my personal favorites from the set. So Vren the Relentless, he's a 4-mana Dimir Rat Rogue, 3/4 with War 2. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. At the beginning of each end step, create X 1/1 black rat creature tokens with this creature gets +1/+1 for each other rat you control, where X is the number of creatures your opponents controlled that were exiled this turn. So basically, you have to be killing stuff every turn on your opponent's turn to get tokens every turn. Uh, but still, it's Dimir. It is the color of control. So, I
Opens up.
mean, in 1v1, I think this card is ridiculously strong, like for standard, maybe
Pioneer.
Pioneer.
Pioneer standard, yeah.
Yeah, not for modern, too slow for modern at 4 mana. But also in EDH, I think this card is quite solid. I would play this as a commander, but
Yeah,
I like to
because
play control. Yeah,
you're not limited to like mono black rat deck. You can also like you can do rogue tribal. You can
also
splash
true.
more colors in rats, or you can just like again you can just play it as a control card that makes tokens as your win card. To me, I'd say it's quite glorious because it's versatile. It's good in various different archetypes. Aggressively costed. It's good. It's interesting. It's fun gameplay and
Protects
deck.
it, protects it itself. Yeah, yeah, I think it's cool. It also solves the problem of reanimation because it exiles what you destroy.
Hmm
So kind of graveyard hate in that sense. Um, but so I would say it's less versatile than Glarv.
Yeah, yeah. It's much
Yeah,
more narrow. Yeah.
yeah. So I would put it here. I think that's fair. But you
hmm
did mention something true that I think rats mostly have been mono black, and this opens up a new archetype.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So speaking of mono black and rats, we have another one. So we
hmm
have Wick the Whorled Mind, 4-mana rat warlock. I know this is Grixis. Never mind.
Yep.
Color identity. It's Grixis, not black. 2/4. Whenever Wick or another rat you control enters, create a 1/1 black snail creature token. If you don't control a snail, otherwise put a +1/+1 counter on the snail you control. You can pay 1 blue, 1 black, and 1 red to sacrifice a snail. Wick deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to each opponent. Then draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. This seems solid in Nekuzar, in wheel decks, right? Because you sack the snail, and then just ping stuff
So
anyway.
maybe, but I think you know if you play a lot of rat in Nekuzar, to me this screams like
Oh yeah, you
very
have to play rats.
specific.
Yeah,
It screams like a very specific build around commander, not
yeah,
a not even as a rat commander. It would be like a very specific direction you
yeah.
take this. Uh,
You
it's gimmicky, gimmicky.
you know what you do? You take something like Urza's Incubator or something that reduces the cost of a tribe. You play the 2 mana rat that grows, rat colony, I think, that you can play whatever number of copies you want, and then it's basically Storm.
Storm the rat. I mean, to me, it's interesting because it's a gimmicky
Yeah,
way to
for
take
sure.
rats, but it's very narrow, probably not that popular with people. Only people who want a challenge.
No. I would put it at the top of entertaining because it will be interesting to build the deck itself.
Yes, it's a very interesting challenge. How do you make this work? And if
Yeah,
it does, it's going to be glorious.
yeah. And I mean, rat
It's
is a tribe with a lot of support. A lot of people like
Mhm.
rats. Yeah, I think it could be an interesting build around commander.
If you can make it work, yeah, that would be interesting to see. I'll be
Yeah.
honest.
Next up, we have Wildseer Scoring Maw, 5 mana Gruul Elemental Wolf, 6/6, Trample, enchantment spells you cast from your hand have Cascade.
Oh boy.
So this is straight up Gruul Enchantress.
New and explored space doesn't have to be an
Yeah,
aura. Can be any
yeah,
sort of enchantments,
yeah. In
and
the colors
it's
to ramp.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, Cascade is always fun because you don't know what happens. Like you can build a super solid Cascade deck where you manipulate the top of your deck and force stuff. But if you want to have entertaining games, just don't put any tutors and just play
Mhm.
Cascade decks.
Let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, think this is a solid, entertaining card. New
Yes.
as a wolf commander, you don't gain
Yeah.
anything. Wolves have nothing to do with enchantments except for some niche. The ones there's like the moon cards that flip the wolves or something.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, it's not
that's
really
not
a
like
wolf
for
commander.
werewolves.
Yeah,
But it's like for
but
Gruul enchantments, that seems very different. I mean, if you're looking for like something to spice your commander games,
yeah.
why not Gruul
Yeah.
enchantment cascade?
I would just put it right after Wick because the deck is easier to build, but
Yes.
it is very new because Enchantress is always
Hmm.
Selesnya
Yes.
normally. So yeah, I think Wilds here will be
A different
interesting.
approach, yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
Next up, we have Igra, Eater of All. So 5 mana Golgari Elemental Cat, 6/6. Has Ward, Sacrifice of Food. Other creatures are food artifacts in addition to their other types and have pay 2 taps, sacrifice this permanent, you gain 3 life, so they really become a food. Whenever a food is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put 2+1/+1 counters on Igra, Eater of All. It's interesting that it converts other people's stuff into foods. Um,
Hmm.
and they are artifacts. So you cast this, and then you cast Bane of Progress, and you just board wipe everybody and make 2 very big creatures. Because Igra would grow because all the creatures are food, right? And it gets 2 counters per card that died. Bane of Progress for each artifact that would die, you also get a counter on it. And then I don't know, you play Concordant Crossroads and just win.
I mean, to me, I mean, in the 99, it's just like a average good like card, boring but good. But as a commander, if you're gonna play it as your commander, because you're gonna abuse that every creature is an artifact. So you
Yeah,
can either like do some dumb combos, or you're gonna like leverage that to kill your opponents, or there's room to explore as a commander. In the deck itself, it's just like, yeah, I have a big dude. The big dude, it's good card. It's hard to deal with, but the
yeah.
flavor is going to come from being played as a commander and going like in a weird roundabout way about it.
I think this
I
card is
think,
very entertaining actually to play about.
yeah,
I would put it somewhere here, similar to these
yeah,
guys, maybe just below Phineas. Because
yeah,
making
because Phineas,
another stuff, you
yeah,
can play Karn with this and completely lock everybody out of the game. By the way,
no, but
4 mana Karn, or lock the creatures. Let's say.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's room to explore if you're gonna go hard on the like the gimmick and the. It opens up like some very unexplored space, like Wild here, but way more narrow. That's my take.
Yeah. Okay, we're back. We're down to the last two. So you have Zinnia Valley's Voice, 3 mana Jeskai, Bird Bard, has an amazing hat, amazing little guitar. 1/3 flying. It gets +X/+0, where X is the number of other creatures you control with base power 1. Creature spells you cast have offspring 2, so you can pay an additional 2 mana as you cast a creature spell. If you do, when that creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. Now, I think this card is quite interesting because it's not even necessarily a token commander because everything you
Mhm.
cast will just create a copy afterwards. I would say this is a ETB matters. This is a Panharmonicon basically for creatures. If you have the
I mean,
mana
imagine
available.
Snapcaster, pay 2 mana, and now I have 2 triggers.
Uh,
These to me, it's similar to Cruel Claw in the sense that if it's gonna go, it's gonna go big. It's gonna make some very memorable board state. You're gonna get like a lot of value. You can there's about to be like a lot of different weird roundabout combos that you can make. The first line of text, it's interesting if you want to go like in a token way, which doesn't seem wrong, and you can attack with it, and it's powerful, but it means just like a cherry on top of an already interesting. I mean, there's bound to be lots of like ETB triggers, you know. You
yeah,
can look. It seems so. You have such a deep card pool to explore and make the very strong combinations.
yeah.
Uh,
No, I think this will be crazy. It's also a solid bird commander. There's a lot of 1/1 birds, or birds with
oh
just
yeah,
one attack. So it's also a solid bird commander.
right.
Um, it actually combos with the other Jeskai bird commander. So with
Yeah.
the one that creates spirits to create red mana, Kaikar.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
so I would put this quite highly above Arthur. Let's put here above Arthur. Um,
Arthur started strong, but has been falling off. So
yeah,
poor Arthur.
Arthur had the benefit from being the first one of the list.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, we have Zoraline, Cosmos Caller. So 3 mana Orzhov Bat Cleric, 3/3 Flying Vigilance. Whenever a bat you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Whenever he enters or attacks, you may pay Orzhov and 2 life. When you do, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with the finality counter on it. I mean, it's a bat commander. It's
Yep.
on theme, but I mean, this effect is like it's not new. Draining, gaining life. These are typical Orzhov aristocrat stuff. I mean, it's fine,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
yeah. I mean, if you need a bat
it's
commander, sure, but other
yeah.
than
It's
that,
a bad commander. Like the bottom part is interesting as like in any you can play it even if you don't have any bats. Value is way lower. It's again to me it screams like a Gav and a Moera. It's a weird tribe commander which falls a bit flat. Yep, that's pretty much it.
well. So with that, we've reached the end of our ranking. You can see here what we considered. I would like to thank Kellcenario for his time. Hopefully, we can count on him in the future for other videos like this. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment. Comment down below which of your commanders or which commanders do you want to play in the set. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
For having me. Bye.